Evening. We are going to go ahead and get started. Welcome to our next steps session for virtual orientation. My name is Evelyn Hernandez. I'm a transfer admissions counselor here at Boise State, and we're excited to have you join us today as we talk a little bit more about what to expect in the next coming weeks as we prepare for orientation. So to start off, we're going to talk a little bit more about the intent to enroll. If you haven't filled out the intent to enroll yet, we strongly encourage you to do so. The intent to enroll comes with a $100 enrollment confirmation fee, and it's what secures your spot for the incoming class. It's really important to complete the intent to enroll because it's also what allows you to sign up for orientation and get the orientation information. Orientation did open up today, so if you have already completed the intent to enroll, you should have received an email about signing up for orientation. We recommend students complete the intent to enroll by May 1st, especially as our first orientation is later May, early June. Like I said, there is a $100 enrollment confirmation fee with this. If you meet financial need, there are sometimes ways to get this waived. To complete the intent to enroll, you would log on to your admissions portal and you can fill out the form directly through there. If you need any assistance accessing your admissions portal, feel free to contact your admissions counselor and we'd be happy to help you out with that process. After you've been admitted, a couple of weeks after, you'll be receiving what's called a transfer credit report. The transfer credit report is Boise State's official evaluation of how your credits transferred into our university. Once the official transcript evaluation has been completed, you will receive an email as well as a text message to let you know that that report is complete and how to view that. Listed in this screen, you can see an example of what that would look like. In that email that you'll receive, it also gives you step-by-step instructions on how to log on to your My Boise State account and to view that transfer credit report. This will be especially helpful for you as you get ready for orientation, have some questions about how your credits transfer and things like that. As a reminder, at any point, if you have any questions, please feel free to put them in the Q&A. And we will, at this time, I will hand it over to Austin from orientation.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much, Evelyn. First, I just want to say I'm so excited to be here with all of you virtually. Hopefully you are comfortable wherever you're at. And I'm excited to dive into a little bit more about what you can expect for orientation this summer. I think it's important that maybe I do the disclaimer that this presentation is not when you're going to be signing up for classes. So if anyone had that expectation, I'm sorry to break your hearts here. But at this presentation, I'll cover what this summer is going to look like for you as a transfer or a non-traditional student coming to Boise State and going through an orientation process. So for you all as transfer or non-traditional students, we are going to have you complete a virtual orientation. We've designed this virtual orientation to truly meet you where you're currently at. We know that some of you are juggling different life priorities. Maybe you have families, you have jobs, you have other competing priorities going on this summer. So we wanted to make something that was accessible to you all and easy for you to navigate. We also know that many of our transfer students are looking for upper division level credits. And so we want to make sure to serve you as early as we possibly can to make sure that you're getting into those right courses when you come here to Boise State. During your virtual orientation process, you'll have opportunity to meet with your academic advisor virtually, of course. It will be either through Zoom or through phone call. And it's kind of up to you and your advisor on what you decide. And then at the point of your advising appointment, you'll be able to register for your fall classes. So this is a really easy way for you to get connected with your advisor, make sure you're on the same page, and then get into your fall courses moving forward. Next slide, please. So what can you expect? We will have that virtual advising appointment for you. We'll have remote class registration. And then we know that some of you are probably interested in some sort of in-person experience too. And maybe not all of you, but we absolutely want to make sure that if you are interested in having an in-person onboarding experience, that we can give that to you. Next slide. So our virtual orientation dates sort of vary. You'll see if you have completed your intent to enroll and you have been able to schedule your virtual orientation advising appointment yet, you'll see that right now we have a lot of options in late May available. We will continue to offer some appointments throughout the summer, but the idea here is that we can serve you in May, make sure you get into those courses that you need to get into before some class availability issues might arise later in the summer. So completing your virtual orientation is super important. As a reminder, you have to complete a virtual orientation advising session to register for classes. If you do not schedule a virtual orientation advising session this summer, then you will be able to sign up for classes at open enrollment. That date is typically about 2 weeks before the start of classes. So it is definitely in your benefit to prioritize your virtual orientation advising appointment to get into those courses. Another piece here is that we know that many veteran and veteran dependent students are really in need of getting into their courses so that the VA can package your military benefits like your GI Bill. So for our veteran and veteran dependent students, you will also be funneled to the virtual orientation program. Again, for our veteran dependent students, you might actually be more traditionally aged. Maybe you're just coming out of high school. We definitely encourage you to come to an in-person orientation, but for you, it really is an option that you get to choose yourself. Next slide. So how do you sign up? Some of you probably already received the email today to schedule your virtual advising appointment. Once you complete your intent to enroll, you'll get an email to sign up for your virtual advising appointment. In that email, it will give you a link directly, and you can schedule an appointment right through there. Today, this morning at 9:30, we had that email sent out to our Idaho students. And then at 12:30, we had it sent out to our non-resident students. I am happy to say that there are still plenty of spots available. So if you haven't signed up yet, you're okay. There's still some options to do that. You can use that link that's in that email. We also have it on our website as well. So if you went to boisestate.edu/orientation, you would see one of the tiles is transfer non-traditional students. You click on that, there is a sign up for orientation button, click on that, and then you'll be able to sign up. Next slide. So what happens after you sign up for orientation and then the point that you actually attend your virtual advising session? Well, there's a couple of things. Part of what our registration form, if you haven't done it yet, will ask you is to upload any essential documents that your advisor might need to best prepare for your virtual advising appointment. So some of you may be currently enrolled at another university or college right now. That's okay. You can upload unofficial documents right now. The point here is making sure that we can give your advisor all of the information that they might need to best prepare for your virtual advising appointment. So you can upload unofficial transcripts in your registration form. If you're done with your current classes or your past classes, make sure to send Boise State that final official transcript. We're going to need that to officially transfer your credits over anyway. But if you're still in classes, if you haven't wrapped up completely, you can go ahead and upload that unofficial document in that registration form. If you get documents after you've already signed up for virtual orientation, that's okay too. You can go into your status portal, which is where you've seen your admissions decision, and you can upload those documents there as well, and we'll make sure to get them over to your advisor. We highly recommend continuing to check your personal and your My Boise State email account. We heavily communicate with you through both of those channels, primarily your My Boise State account. So keep up to date on that. Part of that is you might see some of your advisors may do some outreach to you before your virtual advising appointment. So they may reach out to you, start having some preliminary conversations with you so they can best prepare for you. So if you are getting any sort of outreach from your academic advisor, make sure that you're responding there so they can best serve you at the point of your appointment. You'll also be prompted to take the right class or the right math class. These titles are a bit misleading, I have to say. Neither of these are actually classes. They are merely assessments. So the right class is our English assessment, and then the right math class is our math assessment. If you know that you have a certain math class that is already transferred over to Boise State, that's good for your degree, you do not need to take the right math class. If you know that you're bringing over English 101 or English 102, you don't have to do the right class. But if you are unsure of how maybe your English courses may be transferring over to Boise State or your math courses, we highly recommend that you do the right class and the right math class. Like I mentioned, these are assessments to understand your comfortability with these two subjects, and that information gets sent over to your advisor to best support you in choosing those courses. Now, let's say that you do the right class or the right math class, and it says that you would be best successful in a certain course, but then we get your transcripts later on and it actually puts you above that course. We will always take what transfer credits you're bringing over. So just know that the right class and the right math class will never hurt you in course placement. We will always look at what you're transferring over to place you. So these are just assessments and they are not here to hinder you in your class placement. Next slide, please. Another piece that you will get before your virtual advising appointment is something called a pre-orientation advising module. We use the learning platform called Canvas. So maybe your current college or university that you've been attending utilized Canvas. Essentially here at Boise State, Canvas is our learning platform. So when you're here as a student, many of our professors will use that for course assignments or materials. So you'll get really familiar with it, but we want to get you familiar early on. So through Canvas, that learning platform, we will send you a pre-orientation advising module. It typically takes us about 24 hours to get you access to that module. So if you get the email saying you have access, you try to get in there and it's not working for you, just give it 24 hours and then you should have access to get in there. The pre-orientation advising module is set up for you to prepare for your advising appointment. So it will have you go over your course catalog, understand how to read your degree program. It will also have some really great tips on how to navigate My Boise State and how to actually register for classes. It will also provide some information on buying textbooks and some of our student code of conduct pieces. So this module is really helpful for you because the more that you understand how to read the course catalog, how to navigate My Boise State, that means that's more time you have with your advisor during your session to talk about what your future plans are, where you need your degree to go. Also having conversations around, I really struggle in this course, so I want to be thoughtful of how I layer my other courses around this specific course. So you can get pretty individualized in that session if you already know how to navigate My Boise State in the course catalog. So this is really in your benefit to complete this, so your advising appointment can really be individually for you to be successful here at Boise State. Next slide. So once you attend your virtual advising session, you will leave that session registered for your fall classes. So you'll have your list of classes in the fall. Some of the things that we'll have you do before you actually get here in the fall is submit any remaining final transcripts. It is really important that you submit all official transcripts to Boise State, because at the point of advising, we'll probably be using some unofficial documents. We'll get you in those courses, but if we don't have those final official transcripts at the point of 10th day of classes, you'll actually get dropped from those classes you no longer meet the prerequisites for. So it's really, really important that you send in those final transcripts. Continue to check your email account. We send a lot of communication through there, so continue to check that so you can stay most up to date. And then continue to reach out to your academic advisor if things are shifting or changing. They are always going to be available to you, and they're here to support you. So continue reaching out to them, and they're happy to support you through the process before you get here. Next slide. So here is a nice infographic. Everything that I've said maybe feels like drinking from a fire hose. So we want to make sure to solidify this for you. Step 1, you register for your virtual orientation. If you've completed your intent to enroll, you can do that right now. You will prep for your virtual orientation. So uploading those unofficial documents, completing that pre-orientation advising module, and then you'll attend your virtual advising appointment. And then you'll walk away with the full, your course load for the fall. Next slide. So can I attend an in-person event? Absolutely. We know that many of you may want to come in person to campus to connect with resources, to start making those social connections. And we want to make sure that you're able to do that. So I'll talk about a couple of different in-person experiences that we'll have throughout the summer and then at the beginning of the school year. But what I want to say right now is that if any of you are interested in having a full in-person orientation experience alongside our traditionally aged incoming students, we want you to sign up for that. We are so happy for you to sign up for that. What I would say is it is still important for you to do your virtual advising and registration, because we want to make sure that you get into those courses early on and we can support you early on with that. And then we'll sign you up for an in-person orientation. And you won't have to worry about course advising and registration at the point that you attend an in-person program. But if you don't want to fully commit to a full 2-day in-person orientation experience, that's okay. We understand that. We can also have you come to our campus resource fairs. Those happen on the first day of our in-person orientations. And during a campus resource fair, we have around 30 campus resources, offices, departments represented that you and your family, if you want to bring them, can come and have face-to-face interactions with, ask the questions, understand how they can support you as students. You are absolutely welcome for that. In your email communication after you attend your virtual advising appointment, we will send you an email that says, hey, do you want to sign up for an in-person resource fair? And you can see the dates listed on the screen. Those are when our in-person resource fairs will happen. So we'll send you a link after you attend your virtual advising appointment to sign up for an in-person campus resource fair if you'd like. Next slide. Oh. And then if you are not interested in coming to campus during the summer, we totally understand it. You have a lot of priorities going on. We want to respect that. And we know that it might be best for you to engage with us once you get here for courses. We are really excited because we have Bronco Welcome that happens at the first week and a half of courses. And it is a time where there are a slew of campus events going on where you can start finding your community on campus. You can start connecting with those resources if you haven't yet already. We do have a transfer barbecue that happens every single September. And it is such a fun event. It's great to bring your families or your friends there and meet other transferring students here at Boise State. So it's a great way to find community there. And then there's also a lot of other events that you can go to during Bronco Welcome, and all of them are very family friendly. So if you have a family, feel free to bring them along. It's really exciting. You can always get some free food during Bronco Welcome. So I always like to go there myself, and it's a great way to see the rest of campus and get connected in a lot of other ways. Now, I know that I've talked a lot, so if we'll go to the next slide, you might have questions after this, and we are going to try our best to answer all of the questions that you all might have during this time. If we can't get to all of the questions, feel free to reach out to us. We're happy to chat with you and get any challenges or questions that you might have answered. So I really appreciate it. Thank you all.
Okay, thank you so much, Austin. Hopefully that information was helpful for you as you prepare for orientation. We're going to go ahead now and switch to our Q&A session of our presentation. So you all have been inputting some questions in the chat, and we've been making note of those. And so we're going to go ahead and get started with some of the questions that you all have mentioned. So I'm going to start off with the first question. The first question, and I'll answer this one, Austin. If I'm coming in as a sophomore, which orientation do I sign up for? So if you've taken credits before the transfer orientation, which is what the session that you're in right now, to learn more about, you're going to be signing up for one of the transfer virtual orientation. The email that you've received for the orientation will be the correct ones. Depending on what date works best for you would be how you decide, but you would be doing a transfer virtual orientation. Okay, Austin, I'm going to give you the next question. As transfer students, we will register virtually, but can we still attend the live orientation in June to get more immersed in the school? I think you talked a little bit about this.
Yes, absolutely. And we would love for you to come to an in-person event. Once you are signed up for your virtual orientation, you can go ahead and shoot us an email, and I'll say this email aloud, and maybe we can send it in the chat as well, but it is orientationinfo@boisestate.edu. And if you send that to us, we will help you get, we'll actually manually sign you up for an in-person program on the back end. So you can send it over to us and we'll get you scheduled.
Perfect. Thank you, Austin. Okay. So the next question is, when is summer class registration? This individual has applied for the summer and has questions about that. So I'll go ahead and answer this one. Summer class registration has begun. It started on February 21st. And so for that, you can actually start registering for summer classes now. This kind of ties into one of our next questions, which was, I'm admitted to the summer, do I need to attend registration, an orientation to register for the fall? So for summer students, you can start registering for classes now. You would connect with your academic advisor. And so if you have some questions on who your academic advisor is, please reach out to your admissions counselor or to the orientation office, and we can help connect you with that. We don't have an orientation to start in the summer as it is open enrollment. However, if you would like to continue on to the fall semester, you will need to complete one of the orientation sessions that Austin talked about today. Okay. Next question, Austin. So a student said that there are no dates available for a group advising session that they looked into. Are they too late for that?
Good question. If you are doing a major in our College of Business and Economics or in our School of Public Service, we are doing some virtual group advising. It does look like there are still open sessions for that. So I'm seeing on May 24th, we have a College of Business and Economics session still open at 10 a.m. We also have one at 1 p.m. on May 24th. I'm also seeing for our School of Public Service On the 24th as well of May, we have one at 10 a.m. and one at 1 p.m. as well. If that date doesn't work specifically for you, again, shoot us that email and we'll get you signed up for a later one. To give some context here, what we're trying to do is front load as many of you into May as possible, partly because we want to make sure that we can get you as soon as possible. If you can, try to prioritize that advising time, because it really does only take about an hour. And that's pretty long, actually. Typically, you'll be done in right around 45 minutes. So if you can prioritize going to one of those, if that date does not work for any extenuating circumstances, send us that email. We'll get you into a later one that we have scheduled out. We'll probably start opening up later in May and then early June within the next week. So just send us an email. We can get you in a program that makes the most sense for you.
Thank you, Austin. Okay. So the next question we have here, this individual had completed the intent to enroll back in November and hadn't received the orientation link. We did resend it to you today, not too long ago. So please check your email to make sure that that link, that email is there for you. If you don't see it, make sure to check your spam. But we said resend it not too long ago. So hopefully it's in the top of your email. Okay. The next question we have, Austin, is the advising appointment a group appointment or an individual appointment?
Good question. So two of our academic colleges will do group advising. So that's our College of Business and Economics, and then our School of Public Service. But all of the other academic colleges will do individual virtual advising. If you do, I hope everyone here, you'll get into those virtual advisings early on in the summer. But if for whatever reason you don't attend a virtual advising appointment until the end of summer, you might see our College of Health Sciences transition to group advising. But like I said, if you're here, I hope you'll attend an earlier one. That's going to be in your benefit.
Thank you, Austin. Okay. So the next question, so it says, at the beginning of my process, I paid and transferred my official transcripts to Boise State. Do I need to do that again for orientation, or will it already be with my advisor? And if so, can I send an official transcript when signing up for my virtual orientation? So you will have, when you're filling out the virtual orientation, there'll be a spot for you to submit unofficial transcripts, and we strongly encourage you to do so. This will help your advisor as they help prepare for your orientation and advising appointment. Um, Transcripts get evaluated at different points depending on when we receive them. And so, especially if you're doing an earlier orientation and the registrar's office hasn't evaluated those, this will help your advisor determine what classes you've taken. And it's also especially helpful with your like spring classes that you might be finishing up. So make sure to submit an unofficial transcript when you sign up for your virtual orientation. Okay. Austin, the next question is, so the individual was looking at the virtual advising and noticed only May 22nd, 24th, and 25th are available. Uh, those are currently times that they have a class at the community college. So what would you advise for them to do?
Yeah, absolutely. If you want to shoot us an email to orientation info, we'll get you scheduled for either later in May or early June for sure.
Thank you, Austin. Okay. So the next question is, when can we expect to see financial aid packages for this fall? So if you've applied by the priority deadline, the financial aid office will be sending you an email to your Boise State email late March to early April to let you know about what your financial aid package will look like, and what grants, if any, you qualify for, as well as student loans. So please make sure to be keeping an eye at your Boise State student email, as important information will be sent there to you. Okay. So this individual said, if I have a major in business, can I say that I am undecided in my virtual orientation, or do I have to say business as and say that I want to change my major? And also, how do I change my major?
Good question. So I would say if you are interested in pursuing business here at Boise State, declare that. If you are not certain that you want to go through business, I would say choose undeclared or another major if you know that there's one that you want to be in. At the point that you sign up for orientation, you'll notice that we say, hey, this is what your major was when you applied to Boise State. Has that changed? If it has changed, go ahead and click yes, and it will allow you to choose what you want your updated major to be. Undeclared is on that list, so you can absolutely choose that. And then actually right under that section, there's some verbiage there that says, wonderful, we'll make sure that we connect you with the virtual advising for your intended major that you've just changed it to. But to formally change your major, you'll do it in your My Boise State account. And so if you log into your My Boise State profile, you'll see on the home page, if you scroll down a little bit, change my major, you'll want to make sure to officially change your major there after you sign up for orientation.
Thank you, Austin. So the next question that we have is, when is tuition due for the fall semester? So for the fall semester, the first tuition will be due August 19th. I'm going to go ahead and put in the chat the uh, fall academic calendar that includes deadlines. And so please take a look at that if you have any questions about when tuition is due and all those things. Okay, the next question is, if I know that my math and English classes will transfer, can I still take the assessments?
Absolutely. Kind of like what I mentioned in the presentation, those assessments will never hurt you. So you can absolutely take the assessments and know that everything that's transferring over, that's what we're going to look at. That's what your advisor is going to use to place you in. If you need to take additional math or if you need to take additional English, those are what they'll look at.
Thank you, Austin. Okay. So the next question is, what if I did not receive an email to sign up for the virtual orientation? So if you have completed the intent to enroll prior to today and you did not receive that email, please contact your admissions counselor and we can make sure to get that information sent to you. If you recently submitted the intent to enroll, it'll take about 24 to 48 hours for you to get that orientation email, but you can also uh, view it directly through the orientation website, and I will go ahead and put that in the chat if that is in your particular case. So we have a couple of questions related to the right class and the right math class. For students who have an associate's degree, is this required before their advising appointment? Do they still have to take it?
Yeah, good question. If you're coming in with an associate's, it is very likely you do not need to take those assessments. So if you know that your math courses, if you've seen how that's going to transfer over, maybe you've used the transfer equivalency system or you've looked at that transfer credit report, you do not need to take those assessments. Here's the best part. If you take them, it still doesn't hurt you. So if you're unsure, I would say take those assessments. But if you're bringing in that associates, if you know you're bringing in those English and math credits and you feel confident about how they're going to transfer over, no need.
Thank you, Austin. So one of the next questions, this individual had a change in their family circumstance, so they might have to move to a different state. If that were to happen, where you filled out your intent to enroll, you can actually go back to your admissions portal and decline your intent to enroll if your decision changes and you will no longer be attending Boise State. If you find out later in the summer and you've already registered for classes, then you would need to go to your student center to withdraw from the classes you had signed up for. Okay, Austin, the next question is, are there drop-in meetings with advisors or are those only available by appointment?
Yes. So your virtual advising appointment is going to be your first meeting with your advisor formally through orientation. Like I mentioned, many of our advisors will actually reach out to you before your virtual advising appointment to connect with you and make sure that they're preparing everything accurately to support you in that moment. Um, and then moving forward, if you want to connect with your advisor, they also have scheduled appointments for that. So at the point of signing up for orientation, you'll book a virtual advising appointment through the link that we send you. And then after that, many advisors use their own booking links. So during your meeting with your academic advisor, ask how they would like you to schedule your next follow-up appointment with them. And they'll probably share with you their booking link that you'll use for the rest of your time here.
Thank you, Austin. So one of the next questions that we have is an individual who applied for the fall semester and is interested in taking summer classes. So if that is you, what you would need to do is you would need to go into our website and submit a deferral form to switch your application from the fall 23 semester to the summer 23 semester so you can sign up for summer classes. Again, it's open enrollment, so once you're admitted, just meet with your academic advisor to help you select summer classes and then attend the orientation to continue on to the fall. I will, in a second, put in the chat the link to fill out the deferral form as well. Okay, Austin, the next question is, will we stay with the same advisor for the rest of our time at Boise State?
Good question. For the most part, yes. There are a couple of majors that use during the point of orientation, just because there's so many students that we're serving this time, that they may pull some faculty to help with advising, and you may not have that same faculty advisor your entire time. So it's not 100%, but you will absolutely be meeting with someone on the advising team that will be supporting you through your time here. So for most of you, yes. And then there are some exceptions on just general staffing where that may not always be true, but it's a good chance.
Thank you, Austin. So one of the questions that we have is about payment plans. Does Boise State have those? Boise State does have payment plans that you can enroll in that are through our student financial services that divides your tuition into certain payments per semester. I'm putting in the chat the link to our financial services office that talks a little bit more about how to enroll into the payment plan, the directions for that, when, for how many amounts it is, and those kinds of things. So feel free to check that out as well. So Austin, we have a couple of students who got the orientation email to sign up, but didn't show any dates for them to sign up or they couldn't do it. What would you advise for them to do?
Yeah, that's helpful to know. If that's still happening to you, I know that towards the end of the day, we did start opening up some additional appointments within the week of May 22nd through the 25th. So if that's still happening to you, will you all take a screenshot of what your page is looking like and sending that to orientation info at boisestate.edu? We'll start looking at those and making sure that we can get you signed up for an early appointment. But it's helpful to know what might be breaking. So send that over to us and we'll definitely get on that to help you out.
Thank you. And so one of the next question is, I know I want to be a kinesiology major, but do I have to apply to the kinesiology program? Would this be with the next orientation? If not, how would I apply for the program? It's my understanding that the kinesiology major doesn't have a separate program application, right, Austin? Yeah.
Yeah, that's correct.
So you would work directly with your academic advisor once you are registering. When you're registering for classes, they'll look at what you've already done, where you are within your academic plan to help decide how you'll proceed forward within the degree and how to start off in the fall semester. So this one's a fun question, Austin. So coming from not knowing anyone, would you say it's easy to make friends at Boise State?
I would. I would say it's pretty easy. I think, well, one, I think everyone sort of falls into that bucket when they first get here. So it is kind of nice to remind yourself that you're also surrounded by other people who probably know no one either. And so take those moments in your courses to chat with the people that are sitting next to you. Get involved on campus if you're able to. Like I mentioned, Bronco Welcome will happen the first week and a half of classes here at Boise State. And there are so many events that go on. It's great because some of those events are really passion and interest driven. So if you have a particular passion or interest, you can attend those events and meet others with similar passions and interests. That transfer barbecue is a great one if you are transferring and you want to build a connection with other transfer students. So yeah, getting involved if you're interested in working on campus. We have so many jobs available. It's really nice. They work with your class schedule first. So you can be a student first and still make some money. So there's a lot of ways to get involved, a lot of ways to make some friends. And I would just say, be open to the people around you and ask and stay curious. Most people are really interested in finding their community here. So I know that you'll find someone or a group of people if you put yourself out there a little bit.
Thank you, Austin. So there are a couple of questions and confusion that students had about orientation. So this is, like Austin mentioned at the beginning, this is not your actual orientation. This is more so to help you prepare for the orientation as it opens up, which it opened up today, and as you complete that over the summer. Tomorrow, we are doing an admitted student session, which goes beyond orientation of things to expect. But if you attended today's next steps session on orientation, and you registered for the one tomorrow, you don't necessarily need to attend it as some of the information overlapped between the two. So again, this isn't your orientation. You'll be getting that through your email to sign up for that. Okay, so this question is, Austin, this individual took the ACT about 20 years ago, and they're confident that they took the class that's suggested through the website, and they took a lower level class while earning their associate's degree. They said, I know my previous college might have a copy of my ACT. Would BSU accept a copy from my previous college?
Yes. So I believe, and maybe Andrea and Evelyn can correct me here if I'm really off, but since it would be on a transcript, I think we would still consider that as official. If for some reason we weren't accepting that for math placement, know that we actually do have a math placement test that you can take. What's really great about this is our central advising office. We call it Academic and Advising Support Center. They are actually waiving the first fee for students to take the AccuPlacer test. So all you have to say is you'll actually email someone. It's on our site if you're interested, but you'll email someone. You can take the AccuPlacer in person or virtually, which is wonderful. And since you're an incoming new student to Boise State, we would waive that fee for you. You could take the AccuPlacer test, and we will actually use the AccuPlacer results to place you into a higher math class if we need to. So know that that's absolutely an option, but I do believe that if your ACT score was on your transcript, we would be able to accept that as well.
Thank you, Austin. So I had a question. Someone said, where do I send my transcripts for my first year of college? So you can send your official transcripts to the admissions office. If you send them through mail, there are a specific address, and through email, through one of the approved service providers, you would send it to transcripts, so that's plural, dash admissions at Boise State. I'm going to also put in the chat that talks about both options on how to send those official transcripts, especially the ones that after the semester has finished. And so, Austin, the student said, I have only received a link to register for the new student orientation, not the transfer student orientation. Can you elaborate?
So there could be a couple of different reasons that this happened. One is you could have, maybe you are still in high school and you took dual credit courses in high school. If you are just graduating from high school, whether you have an associate's or transfer credit, we're still going to have you attend the in-person orientation. If you are, let's say maybe you just finished your first semester or maybe first 2 semesters at a college or university and you haven't obtained 14 or more transfer credits at this point, we will classify you as a first year student and have you attend the in-person orientation. Or if you are under 21 and you have some college credit, but not 14 or more, or maybe you don't have any college credit yet, but you're under 21, we are going to have you attend that first year orientation program. Now, if you are getting funneled to the first year orientation program, and maybe you do fall into one of the buckets that I just said, but doing a virtual orientation would make the most sense for you, you can also email that orientation info email and request an application for our long distance orientation. There is some criteria that you need to meet. You can be living 300 plus miles away. You can be in a job that's taking you away from coming to an in-person orientation. You could be active or reserve military. There's a couple of options. And in the actual very short application for the long distance orientation program, if you choose one of those, we'll approve you to do virtual orientation. So if that's the case, go that route. If you don't fall into any of the buckets that I just mentioned and you're still getting funneled to the first year in-person orientation programs, also email us that. We might have to see why that is, and we might need to dive in a little bit further into your profile. So bear with us, but I promise we'll get you signed up for the one that's going to best support you.
Thank you, Austin. And so one of the next questions, the student said that they received an email back in December that their transfer credit report was complete, but when they log in to view it, they see no course credits were found. I would recommend you would reach out to your admissions counselor. We can take a further look at it to see what's going on, see if it was a technical issue or there's any additional information that we can provide. So please make sure to reach out to your admissions counselor if that's the case, and we will look into this further for you. Okay. One of the last questions, Austin, when does fall class registration start?
Yes, good question. So the earliest you could register for your fall classes is May 22nd if there is a virtual advising appointment available for you that date. So, but really that first week of our virtual advising appointments, May 22nd to May 25th, I believe, that is when fall registration opens up for you all. So what will happen is at the point that you attend your virtual advising appointment, your advisor and you will talk about the courses that you should select, and then they'll actually help you select those courses and then register for them during your appointment or just shortly after. But once you're done with your virtual advising appointment, you should have your fall classes.
Thank you, Austin. So one of the next question is, I'm a transfer student, but I'm new to the tuition process. Is there any way I could get more information on that? So certainly you can find our tuition fees, payments, payment deadlines, and those things through our Student Financial Services website that I provided earlier. But I also encourage you to reach out to your academic counselor to talk a little bit more about what that looks like at Boise State. We can also utilize tools like the bottom line estimator to give you a better idea about what the cost of attendance will look like for you at Boise State. So please use us as a resource. We're here to help you out um, and want to make sure that transition to Boise State is as smooth as possible for you. Um, so one of the next questions is, if we're number 50 on the housing list, what are the chances housing will be an option?
Yeah, I would say it's at this point, housing is essentially working off of a wait list for sophomore and above housing. I would say every week you should get an update of your movement on the wait list. So kind of use that as a good gauge of how quickly you're moving on that. I always tell students, especially if they're on the wait list for housing, that it really doesn't hurt to look for a backup option around the area or within the Treasure Valley. So definitely look at some other options. If you want to get more in depth about how the wait list is moving, general expectations about how the wait list might be navigated, reaching out to housing directly is a great idea. You can email them at housing@boisestate.edu. You can also give them a call. Their number is 208-447-1001, and they can be really helpful with that. But I always think it's better to be safe than sorry. So looking at some backup options is never going to hurt.
Thank you, Austin. So one of the next questions we have is, if I'm wanting to start in the spring of 2024 instead of the fall semester, when do I need to do the intent to enroll? So what I would encourage you to do is go to our deferral website to defer your application from the fall 2023 semester to the spring 2024 semester. If any of you are in that case, we could only defer from the fall until the spring semester. And so we're going to go ahead and put in the chat the link to fill out the deferral form for those of you who might decide spring 24 semester would be a better option for you. And then you would be going through the orientation process later on December to continue to the spring semester. Okay. I think the next question is for me also, Austin. When is the FAFSA deadline? So the priority deadline for the FAFSA was February 15th. If you haven't filled out the FAFSA, I definitely encourage you to do so sooner rather than later. For the fall 2023 semester, you would be completing the 2023-2024 FAFSA application. So you'll just want to make sure to include Boise State in your FAFSA application so we can get that information and process it to give you your financial aid package. Okay, so Austin, one of the questions was, if I've already submitted an unofficial transcript to Boise State, do I still need to submit them to speak with my academic advisor? If they've already been submitted, is there somewhere we can download them in the Boise State website?
Yeah, great question. If you've already submitted any documents to Boise State, your advisor will have access to them. So if you have any updated materials or any materials that might include new information, we'll definitely want you to update those. I would also say, if you're unsure, it's okay to double upload. It's better to make sure that your advisor has all the information that they need to best support you in your virtual advising appointment. And then if you are interested, I guess maybe I'll clarify. The last question was if they can go to Boise State's website to download them. Is that right, Evelyn? Cool. So I don't believe, unless you've attended courses through Boise State, you would be able to access your transcripts through Boise State. If you've uploaded them for admissions purposes, there may be a way to actually see that in your admissions portal. I'm not completely certain on that one, so I might have to defer to Evelyn to help me out there.
With your transcripts, those would not show on your admissions portal, the classes you've taken.
Good to know. So yeah, I would say if you're unsure of what documents you've already submitted to Boise State, just go ahead and upload them in that registration form for orientation. That way we can make sure to get them over to your advisor. And then if you know that there are official documents that you need to send to Boise State, do that as soon as you know that those official documents are complete, so you don't have to pay extra money to keep sending them.
Thank you, Austin. And so I'm going to go ahead and answer the last two questions, and then we'll wrap up our session today. One of the questions was, how long does it normally take for your transfer credit report to be made? That can take about 4 to 6 weeks. And sometimes a little bit longer depending on the time of year when we are with orientation and those kinds of things. So it's definitely important to get that out sooner rather than later if you haven't submitted updated transcripts. If you have any questions about your transfer credit report, where those things are, please reach out to your admissions counselor and we can look into it a little bit further for you and provide you some additional information. And the final question, an individual asked, are there any refresher courses for transfer students who have been out of school for a while? So our Advising and Academic Support Center does have a few courses to help support you as you start off at Boise State. One of those would be ACAD 101, which is an academic success topics that helps you transition back into school where they talk about academic skills, habits necessary for college success, basic study skills, campus resources, things like that. So if any of you are in that place or maybe have some questions or nerves about coming over to Boise State, that ACAD 101 is a great resource for you to help you as you start off at Boise State. So with that, we will conclude our session. I would like to thank the orientation office for joining us today and all of you for taking the time out of your evening to learn a little bit more about what to expect in the next coming weeks as you prepare to start at Boise State this fall semester and for some of you this summer. If you have any additional questions, please, please, please do not hesitate to reach out to your admissions counselor or to the orientation office. We're here to help support you as you transition on. So thank you so much and have a great evening.